Hey folks, it's your boy Jer with another episode of BLEUMAFIA. Thanks for listening. It's the fourth episode. We're back. We had a preseason game. There's a lot of young quarterbacks making their debut. I have Justin Fields here live on NFL Network. 5 NFL QBs making their debut. A few Bills QBs made their debut, 3 to be exact, on the field for the Bills in the preseason last night. We'll preview that a little bit, and then we'll get into some brief NFL news. We'll talk a little bit about those 5 rookie quarterbacks making their debut. I'll talk a little bit about what I saw with Mac Jones, which is a little scary as a Bills fan. Talk a little bit about the Buffalo Fanatics team up to make the General live and real, and hear about how that's going to be a little bit of a charity effort for WNYHeroes, which is also exciting. So, all that, and then we will pick the division winners way too early, because that's what we're going to do today. So thanks for listening, guys. Let's get right into it. So right off the bat, huge shout out to Buffalo, along with Buffalo Fanatics, who took the concept of the General and made it a reality. Very exciting. If you've followed me on Twitter or read anything on the blog, you know that that little symbol might look a little familiar. It was based off of the nickname that I coined on Twitter for Josh Allen last July. That's July of 2020. Before the season, it was a weird year, and it felt good to have him out there. And as a fan and a former player, it was just clear that he had something special. So I started calling him that, and at the end of the year, kind of found that little 6-star symbol, messed around a little bit, added a very simple 5 little star above it, kind of made a football team. And as soon as I brought that concept along with the Wyoming numbers, as you've seen me wear on the show here, with that concept, Eric was able to kind of tighten it up. And I had mentioned to him, I think it would be really cool to not only, use these symbols, the cowboy font from his time as like a, mid-major quarterback, not really recruited, to the sort of militaristic but almost fairy tale like timeless General that you might imagine in somewhat of a film or Disney movie or something like that. Just really happy to see that come together. The photos with Eric and the people from WNYHeroes, which Eric reached out to, as a lot of you probably know, he and Robbie are awesome, make a lot of cool stuff, and also bring a lot of awareness to a lot of cool people and businesses around Buffalo, Western New York, burbs, downtown, everywhere. So that you can find that at Buffalo, and also Buffalo Fanatics. They've teamed up together on a few different projects, but I know that they are obviously one of the best, biggest and best podcast, blog, sports, Bills stuff around, and they were kind enough to, push this whole message for Eric and for me. And that was the idea, was sort of everybody wins. Hopefully you get out there and buy yours. Eric mentions in the site that every donation or every t-shirt sale will include a donation to WNYHeroes. So check that out. It's a sick shirt. I got 3 of them. And I got one for Rayleigh, my fiance. The General, it lives. That's pretty much, after that, now I can't stop podcasting, writing. I feel like I've entered a new chapter here as a fan fleet journalist wannabe podcaster. But that, I mean, what can you say? It's just really cool to see that come together. So what do we got here? Last night, game 1, preseason. I was pleased. I was pleased to see the culture. It's clear that there's a different culture in Buffalo. I was sort of expecting to see a little bit different culture. I have an old school Rob Johnson on today, as you can see. Puma. No, starter. Fresh. But I was expecting to see a little bit more attitude and energy out of the Lions team. Goff looked very Goff-like, but they had like a 16-play drive there or something. That was a nice drive, but it was good to see Greg Rousseau first drive getting into the quarterback space and causing havoc. I really think he's going to be a monster for a long time for the Bills. And Devin Singletary looking explosive, looking sharp. They talked about how he trained in the offseason a little bit. Tasker and the other announcers were talking about, obviously he looked a little more trim, but also working on the dynamic range of motion, things like that. And it showed. I think that he looks very explosive and he looks like a lean, mean fighting machine. So looking forward to that. Not much from Isaiah Hodgins, minimal, but he also apparently took a light injury to the shoulder, I believe, or perhaps knee. But hate to see that. Breida, I wasn't overly excited, not overly disappointed. He looks like he could break one at about any different play, which is, I mean, all you can ask for your third back. I don't know. I think his explosion looks decent. He's not a real big guy. I think Bills fans may have been expecting a little bit more muscle, but it goes to show you how big Moss and Singletary are, too. Stevenson and Fromm. As you know, I'm not a total huge fan of Fromm, but it was nice to see his debut ended nicely for him. I was overly impressed, though, and excited to see the performance by Davis Webb. Anyone who is close to me knows that I've been talking Davis Webb up since Texas Tech, with Cliff Kingsbury as the coach before he was injured, and also when he went to Cal. And I had said a while ago, which is once again why I started recording these things, so I have proof. A while ago, I loved Webb out of college. I was hoping we would draft him before Allen came out. And eventually he was a giant, and then somehow he ended up over here. But as you all know, I'm a huge fan of Ken Dorsey, what he does. But when we picked up Davis Webb, it was clear that, to me anyway, because I did used to play quarterback, I can spin it a little bit, studied it. There's a science. Truly, I'm confident I could still spin it if you give me a couple weeks of getting training. But Webb is a huge, long lever thrower, large hands. He needs a lot of control because that longer whip, you have more control if you can. But I knew that when we signed him, he was going to be an asset to Josh Allen because they're just both huge, tall guys. And there's a little bit different science to it for those huge, tall guys. And Jordan Palmer gets a lot of credit for what he's done, which he should. He should get credit with what he's done with Josh. But I still think the competitive nature, once again, Brandon Beane, great signing to get Davis Webb in there because it's a friendly competition. I think they both understand that Allen's superior and freakish, but they have similar attributional levels. If you created two creative players, they are sort of the same thing. And I said last night, it was cool. It's like uh, Davis Webb gave Josh Allen touch, and Josh Allen gave Davis Webb legs in those because Webb was running a lot. He was getting out of there quick. But check out some of his highlights from college, man. They were really impressive. But Bills, second team offense, big starters. That was pretty vanilla. Other than the push up front was decent. The one drive with Mitch Trubisky, we did we did run it right down the face, which was nice to see. But then obviously we stalled out when we got down there, which was kind of like eerily similar to what we were used to in Buffalo for a good 15, 20 years, with spurts of a comeback here or there, but a lot of that just like moving the rock, getting down close, and then not scoring. So the whole Mitch Trubisky thing, I'm sorry, but I don't know. I don't know about him. He seems like a nice kid, nice guy, but I don't know if he's got the fire behind the chest plate. He just doesn't even act like he wants to be out there. He doesn't look happy. He doesn't look like he really wants to be a quarterback. I'm sorry, if you get to that level, to me, some of these guys, you can see how much they really appreciate it, how much they respect the position. And there's been a lot of guys over the years that just don't. And been a lot of guys that just sort of think it's going to happen, and then maybe it does happen for a year or two, and then they think it's going to keep happening. And it doesn't. Only the great ones know that it's a constant sharpening of the sword, and you never can stop improving, and someone's always sort of coming for your job. I just don't see that understanding from Mitch. And maybe he'll come around. I thought he would have come around by now. He just seems a little bit of a pacifist. But Fromm came in and did a decent job, and you always hate to see guys get cut, right? I don't know how many quarterbacks they're going to keep. I feel as though they need to keep Davis Webb just as a extra coach guy in the locker room. And then to me it leaves Fromm or Trubisky. And to me, then it leaves that to Josh. Who would you rather have to sit in a room with for the rest of the year? And I don't know either of them. Maybe Josh says neither. Let's just get me, Davis, and Ken Dorsey in there. Don't be surprised to see that. But overall, I give us about a B minus. I think, I like our culture. It was our sixth straight preseason win. Singletary looked great, really awesome. The pass rush looked awesome. Greg Rousseau looks like a freak. Javon Curse, freak-like athlete. So overall, B minus. I'm excited, obviously, but it's so early, and it was cool to see Josh on the sideline wearing that bucket hat. Shout out B-Law. My boy B-Law brought the bucket hat back from Myrtle many years ago. We're going to take a quick break. Thank you for listening, guys. Tell your friends, tell your fathers, tell your mothers, tell your fellow Bills fans to listen. And we'll be back. So looking around the league, we've got 5 rookie quarterbacks making their debut. Last year we didn't have a preseason, obviously, with the pandemic and everything, but a lot of hate on preseason I've heard recently all around town in the matrix of football. A lot of people talking that they don't like preseason, and it looks boring. I get it, but it's like a dress rehearsal. A lot of guys that will never make it get a shot, and to me, I think it's fun, especially getting to watch the quarterbacks get a shot, because it's like, here you go. Do they got it or do they not? Are they going to at least be a journeyman in the league, or are they not? Are they going to be someone who's worth trade value, or are they not? Are they someone that's going to push the starter and compete for a position, or are they not? Are they worth paying to keep around for their morale? These are all things you can tell a lot in preseason, and I don't mind watching it. And we have 5 QBs sort of making their debut, as we've said, and that includes Trevor Lawrence of the Jags, Justin Fields of the Bears, who I've been watching a little bit on the side here as we record. Zach Wilson, Jets, Lance, and Jordan Love. Trey Lance and Jordan Love. Sorry. Lance Love I had written. And then obviously Mac Jones already making his debut. Jordan Love didn't get drafted this year. Or did he? He may have. No, I think it was last year. But either way. Fuck me, right? Either way, that's 5-6 total. And Mac Jones looked very good. I thought that he looked comfortable. I thought that he looked a little bit better than advertised. Great feet. Not a huge arm, but you could tell he's got a nice control of the yo-yo, kind of, as I say. Like, he's got a nice touch at the end of the release, which, if you watch really good quarterbacks, you can tell it. The shoulders come around, the body comes around sort of naturally as they do, but then they have a little yo-yo at the end. How hard do they sort of let that ball rip? And the ones that can do it at different speeds, almost like a pitcher, those are the ones that give you trouble, because the defensive backs can't really read where that ball is going to end up. And, Peyton Manning, Hall of Famer, he was strange at it, because his arm would almost look the exact same arm speed every time he threw the ball, but it would just, like, with his, it was like a pinch at the end. Like, he would almost pinch it if he wanted to make it a change up. The ball would come around, his arm would come around at the same speed, but it would sort of flip her out just for a little off-speed stuff. But it's going to be fun to see how all these young quarterbacks pan out. I think Lawrence obviously turns out he's sort of like an Andrew Luck, but who knows if all these guys play for a long time, because it was also interesting to see that the only remaining quarterback from the 2010 NFL draft, which is only like 11 years ago, 10 years ago-ish, is Colt McCoy. And that made me feel old as dirt. But I think Fields is going to end up starting, because I think that the Bears can compete, and I think that Matt Nagy is going to be pressured into playing him, because even Dalton's going to be telling them to play him. And then Zach Wilson was really impressive in a couple things that he had to say recently. He was videotaped throwing an interception in a game, or in a practice in a game-like scenario in the end zone, and it was sort of flying around preseason Twitter and social media, and he was asked about it, and he was very professional in the way that he answered it, and he was saying, like, in so many words, it's practice, and this is when I can get an opportunity to make a few throws that I might not in the game, and see what I can get away with and what I can't. And that was great, because I feel like that's sort of what a lot of these young guys fall victim of, is just not letting it rip. And especially the ones that had high success rates in college, I think that sometimes when they don't have great receivers, they lose confidence in where they can put the ball. But a guy like Tua, he has no excuses now after they went out and got Jalen Waddle. You like to see these GMs go out and get weapons for the quarterbacks, because if they have weapons, then there's no excuse. Obviously, that's what Brandon Beane did, but it certainly did not backfire. And Love, I mean, we'll find out if Jordan Love will be kind of the incumbent, if he's got it or not. And then Trey Lance, I think that he also ends up starting because I think he's just going to be more exciting to watch, at least in the beginning. But a couple guys, Dwayne Haskins, he had a few throws the other night that weren't bad, but he still just looks a little sloppy in his mechanics. Unfortunate. I really thought that kid was going to kind of turn it around, but I don't know. I don't know about that. But Lance and Love, they both kind of have an opportunity to be an incumbent and step into an opportunity. But it's kind of interesting because one of them, well, Rodgers, I could see wanting to go to the 49ers, but now the fact that they have Trey Lance, you don't know where that goes. They're going to have to get rid of Garoppolo. Where's Garoppolo going to go? I mean, I don't really care where Garoppolo goes. I don't know how he's still in the league, to be honest, TBH. But I got 2 fantasy leagues this year. I'm sure you guys are in fantasy. I'll be letting you know my teams. I'll keep you up to date with what we're doing this year. Not gonna pour you too deep into my fantasy stuff, but you can let me know what's on your team and we could talk. Hit me up at Jer7Reg if you have any questions about what I think, or if you want to tell me what you think, and I'll put it on the air. But I got 2 leagues. One of them is with my friend B-Law and a lot of the guys from his work. And that one is a nice big money league, competitive, decent amount of shit talk, great trades, great. That's a competitive league, so that one's the big money one. And then the other one is the old OG Olive Garden League with Commissioner Phil. Formerly started by Zach Sauer, rest in peace, fantasy god. And that's about it for a little bit of NFL news. Lastly, in the prediction segment, part 3, we're just going to do a little bit of divisional predictions. We're going to take all 4. You've heard us break them down a little bit here on Blue Mafia as far as who I'm looking forward to watching, but we're going to do a way too early prediction and just pick all 4. I got them written down already, so we'll be quick. We'll be out of here about 5 more minutes. So thanks for listening, guys. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening again, guys. Please subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon. Wherever you listen, it's the @RegMizzou Network. Blue Mafia is the pod. You can also find it at BlueMafia.com. That's where all the Bills blog stuff is. Or I did just put a piece up on the TryingTimes.com about a tweet by a famous current gymnast and related to alcohol and just my thoughts on that. So check that out. Trying Times is sort of athletes off the field kind of content, but that's the other stuff. We're in Blue Mafia season though, baby, so let's keep it tight. Lastly, today I'm going to give you my picks. I'm not exactly a betting man, but I know sports and I like them and I watch them. So if you are a betting person, this is what I think. So we're going to keep track of myself here. We're going to keep this right here. Keep all the notes from each episode so that I know what I predicted so we can come back and give me shit for them. But this is the way too early predictions. And obviously all these are subject to injury because you can never really predict injury. Some of those guys that go down can really cause a season to be lost. So that kind of always throws everything in a wrench, throws a wrench in everything's. So firstly, we'll get some of the more easily decisive ones out of the way first. I do think, barring injury, obviously, the Bucs are clearly the favorite in the NFC South. They should be able to run the gauntlet. You hope that Brady doesn't get hurt with his, blood drinking, good witch spell, supermodel lifestyle. You hope that he doesn't get hurt, but shoot, he got hurt last year apparently, and he was playing with a torn MCL. So you don't know what's going to stop him and his avocado sucking body. And then, sort of a tough one. Well, we'll do another easy one first. I think the Packers are the favorite, though I wanted to make this pick before I watched the Bears because I always like to get excited for the Bears because I sort of like their uniforms and their culture and what they represent. But after seeing them, I just don't like the Nagy vibe. So I got the Packers, but who knows? Packers picking or winning the NFC North, and then NFC East. I have the Cowboys. I have the Cowboys because of their offense is so talented. I just can't get over the fact that I don't know how they have so much talent on offense. Tough one there, though, because I really am rooting for Fitzy and the Washington football team. And then in the NFC West, this was probably the toughest, and I took a long time to think about this, and I'm still not exactly confident with the pick, but just because of the fact that Russell Wilson is in such a different mindset. I think that he really wants to prove himself, and I think that he's in that mode where I think he's not going to allow himself to be outdueled by Kyler or Jimmy or Trey Lance. But Stafford will be tough, and all of the divisions, all of the defenses in that division are so tough. But I did pick the Seahawks here just because I think DK Metcalf is a monster, but their defense isn't exactly dominant, and obviously they've got issues with Jamal Adams not signing. And then I have the 49ers and the Rams as sort of wild cards. Tough not to pick the Washington football team in the wild card, though. They could easily make it. Switching over to the AFC, I have the Browns taking the NFC North, which is weird. This was probably one of the toughest ones in terms of deciding who's going to win the division. That's going to be a real slobber knocker of a division because you have obvious Browns with OBJ coming back and a lot of talent on defense. I think Jadeveon Clowney's even there now, along with, the rest of the talent on the defense, Myles Jarrett. And the Titans, I have winning the AFC South. And this was sort of a tough one because you've got the Jags, Colts, and then whatever the hell's going on with the Texans. But Titans not getting a whole lot of love, surprisingly. I think that they're going to be really tough. I have them in like my top 3 in the AFC, a stacked AFC. And then I have the Bills winning the AFC East, but I think it's going to be tougher than a lot of people think. I think that we're going to get a lot of tough tests this year because we are now the devoted hunted. We were starting to be the hunted last year, but now we're really the hunted. And then, though the Chargers are on a come up, I don't think anybody really has an opportunity to challenge the Chiefs at this juncture. I don't think that Derek, Daniel, Duty, Carr has what it takes to lead a team to a title or division title for that matter. So the Chiefs still in the AFC West. And then Ravens, Colts for my wild cards there. Even though the Chargers could sort of sneak in that wild card possibly, I don't really forecast the Broncos doing very much with Drewy Lockwater playing quarterback. So that's it. That's my picks. That's my picks for the way too early divisional picks. And I kind of ran this off heard Pat McAfee picking parlay, and like I said, I don't have the money to be throwing around like he does, but if I was a betting man, I think this would be my picks. So thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate it. Tell your friends. We're getting out of here. Go Bills. We'll see ya.